Welcome to Karma's Harvest. Here we reap what we sow, and sometimes the seeds of a cold heart grow into a forest of stone. Today we explore the tale of a man who valued a crust of bread more than a soul's survival, and how the very earth rose up to teach him the weight of his greed. In the heart of the mist-shrouded elderwood, there lived a man named Silas. Silas was not a man of malice in the way thieves or murderers are. No, his vice was simpler, more common and perhaps more dangerous. He was utterly indifferent. He possessed shoulders as broad as an ox and a swing that could fell a century-old pine in a dozen strokes. He was the most efficient woodcutter the valley had ever seen, yet his hearth was always cold, for he had no friends to share it with. One bitter autumn morning, when the frost clung to the leaves like shattered glass, Silas sat upon a stump preparing to eat his midday meal. It was a thick hunk of rye bread, still warm from his morning bake, and a wedge of sharp cheese. The steam rose from the loaf, a fragrant invitation in the biting air. From the shadows of a towering cedar, an old man emerged. He was draped in rags the color of dried moss, and his skin was lined like the bark of an ancient oak. He leaned heavily on a gnarled staff, his breath coming in ragged puffs. "Good traveler," the old man wheezed, his voice sounding like dry leaves skittering across a stone floor. "I have walked since the moon was high. My belly is an empty cave and my strength fails me. Would you spare a small piece of your bread? Only enough to see me to the village edge." Silas didn't even look up. He tore off a large piece of the rye and stuffed it into his mouth. "The village is but 3 miles. Silas grunted through the bread. "A man with a will can walk 3 miles on air. This bread was earned by my sweat. I don't give away my labor for free." The old man's eyes, deep and emerald green, shimmered with a strange light. "Labor is a gift from the earth, Silas, and the earth expects a tithe of kindness. Are you sure you cannot spare even a crumb?" "I am sure," Silas snapped, standing up and grabbing his double-bitted axe. "Be on your way, old ghost. There are no free meals in the elderwood." The old man bowed his head, a slow, deliberate movement. "As you wish. You shall keep everything you earn, Silas, every ounce of it. From this moment on, your work will be as unyielding as your heart." With a blink of an eye, the old man was gone. Silas scoffed, muttering about vagrants and their riddles. He approached a massive silver birch, its bark shimmering like moonlight. He spat on his palms, gripped the hickory handle of his axe, and swung with all his might. Clang! The sound was not the satisfying thud of steel biting into soft wood. It was the screech of metal on rock. Sparks flew from the impact, stinging Silas's cheeks. He stumbled back, his hands vibrating with a numbing shock. He looked at the tree. Where the blade had struck, there was no white sap, no wooden splinters. Instead, there was a jagged white scar in solid, cold marble. Silas rubbed his eyes. He swung again, more carefully this time. Clang! Again, the axe bounced off, leaving a dull, gray mark. He moved to a different tree, a pine. Crack! This time, the head of his finest axe simply shattered into 3 pieces. He touched the trunk of the pine. It felt cold. It felt heavy. It was no longer wood, it was granite, carved with the intricate details of pine needles and bark. Panic, cold and sharp, began to settle in his chest. He ran from tree to tree, swinging his spare axe at oaks, maples, and elms. With every strike, the result was the same. The forest was turning to stone beneath his touch. The more he tried to earn his living, the more the forest refused to give. By the end of the week, Silas was a broken man. His shed was filled with shattered axe heads and snapped handles. He had no firewood to sell, and thus no money to buy food. The rye bread was long gone. Hunger began to gnaw at his insides, a cruel reminder of the hunger he had ignored in the old man. Desperate, he sought out the great sentinel, the largest oak in the forest. It was a tree so massive its wood could fund a man's retirement for a decade. "I only need this one," Silas whispered, his voice cracked with desperation. "Just one tree to save myself." He took his very last axe, a rusted old tool he had inherited from his father. He swung it with the desperation of a drowning man. The moment the blade kissed the bark, a sound like a mountain crumbling echoed through the elder wood. The great sentinel didn't just turn to stone. It turned to solid iron ore, heavy and immovable. The vibration was so violent it threw Silas backward, pinning his leg beneath a falling branch, a branch that now weighed hundreds of pounds. As he lay there, trapped under the literal weight of his greed, the forest went silent. No birds sang, for there were no seeds to eat in a forest of stone. No wind rustled the leaves, for stone leaves do not dance. He realized then the old man's curse. He was allowed to keep everything he worked for. He had worked for stone, and now he was surrounded by it. He had refused to give a crumb, and now the world refused to give him a breath of warmth. Days later, the villagers found him. He wasn't dead, but he was changed. His skin had taken on a grayish hue, and his joints moved with the stiffness of mountain rock. He never cut another tree. Instead, he spent the rest of his days sitting by the village entrance, sharing every bit of food he managed to beg or earn with anyone who passed by. They say that when Silas finally passed away, he didn't leave a corpse. Instead, where he sat, a small, vibrant sapling of real, living oak sprouted from the dry. Earth, the only living thing in a valley of stone memories. Karma does not seek to break us, but to reshape us. Sometimes we must become as heavy as stone to understand the lightness of a giving heart.